Putin shows no sign of backing down as Trump sets deadline for ceasefire despite growing international pressure. Vladimir Putin continues his relentless war in Ukraine. This past weekend, speaking from Belarus alongside President Lukashenko, he made it clear the Kremlin has no intention of halting its military operation, not even in the face of a new deadline imposed by Donald Trump. Trump has issued an ultimatum by Friday, August 8th. A ceasefire must be in place in Ukraine. If not, new sanctions will follow, targeting not just Russia, but also countries that continue to buy Russian oil. We spoke with our Russia correspondent, Just Bozeman, to understand the potential impact of these developments. Russia has an active shadow fleet used to transport oil, Bozeman explains. But whether sanctions from Trump would hit Russia hard depends largely on how India and China respond. The two biggest buyers of Russian oil, China has already stated it will continue purchasing Russian oil. India's position is less certain. Last week, some state-run Indian refineries halted their Russian imports. But over the weekend, government sources in Delhi indicated that India may resume its purchases. A Russian economist suggested this hesitation may be linked to potential penalties for contract violations if India breaks oil agreements with Moscow. But Trump's threat is also real. Should India and China ignore the ceasefire demand, they could face secondary sanctions, potentially including a 100% tariff on oil imports. To complicate things further, OPEC, of which Russia is a member, is preparing to increase oil production. This could push prices even lower, striking another blow to the Russian economy. Bozeman points out that while some believe economic pressure is the only way to bring Russia to its knees, the country's economy is already in a slow but steady decline. The state's financial reserves are running out. Oil prices are low and likely to drop further. That means less income from exports of oil and gas, which are critical to funding the war, he says. Can Russia pull a Trump card of its own? According to Bozeman, not really. If Trump enacts new sanctions, there's little Russia can do in response. Trade between the U.S. and Russia is minimal, around $3.2 billion a year. That's peanuts on a geopolitical scale. Russia could restrict exports of rare earth metals needed by the American aerospace industry, but that would also hurt its own economy. They simply need the money too badly. As the clock ticks toward Friday's deadline, Putin appears undeterred. His meeting with Lukashenko showed no sign of hesitation or willingness to compromise. While he did mention negotiations should happen at some point, he has said that before. The Kremlin seems committed to pressing on at least until its military goals are met. And what if Friday comes and goes with no ceasefire? Bozeman says Russia likely won't retaliate against the U.S., but will instead shift its focus to Europe. Moscow increasingly sees Europe, not the U.S., as the primary aggressor, especially the UK, France, and Germany. So we might see cyber attacks, sabotage, and more military provocations, like Russian jets disrupting airspace over the Baltic Sea. Last week, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev made a provocative statement about the U.S., which prompted Trump to deploy 2 nuclear submarines to the region. Still, Putin doesn't appear shaken. Neither Trump nor Putin wants to back down. It's a high-stakes game of bluff. Neither side can afford to lose face, which makes this situation extremely dangerous. And with those American nuclear submarines now stationed just off the coast, any escalation could have dire consequences. If you find this video interesting, please subscribe and press the bell button.